Tonight, SA Best slams the South Australian government as Paddy's Law remains in limbo. And New South Wales border towns record an increase in coronavirus tests.
From our 7 Spencer Golf Studios, your nightly news with John Hunt begins now.
Good evening. The Marshall government has been slammed as heartless after members blocked debate on Paddy's Law, which would modify warning labels on gas cylinders. The member for Flinders says the bill will be revisited, but SA Best says that's not good enough.
Tempers flare in Parliament House.
There is no reason, absolutely none, for the government to behave the way they did yesterday.
The Liberal government under fire after blocking debate on the Dangerous Substances Amendment Bill, otherwise known as Paddy's Law, which would see warning labels on gas cylinders.
Unfortunately, the government used its numbers to stop that bill from being introduced.
Labor planned to fast-track the bill but was shut down. The member for Flinders scrutinised for not supporting the debate.
For reasons I cannot explain, voted with his party to block us introducing the bill. I cannot explain why that was done. That was really disappointing.
I will be supporting the legislation, Paddy's Law, when we get to it. But in the meantime, we need to work our way through the notice paper as it is.
The member says that parliamentary process needed to be given due justice, but SA Best says that's not good enough.
Because the sooner we get this done, the better.
We're debating healthcare safe access amendment bill, so potentially that relates to people's lives as well.
It was here in Port Lincoln in February when a 16-year-old teenager collapsed at a house party. Paddy Ryan tragically died after he inhaled gas from an LPG cylinder. His family's world turned upside down, now using his memory to enact change.
A single warning label on a bottle can be the difference between life and death.
The bill will be reintroduced when Parliament returns in September. Nathan Regter, 7 Spencer Golf News.
A car has been left completely destroyed after it was found on fire early this morning. Local firefighters responded to reports of a car alight at the corner of Beryl and Warren Street just before 7 o'clock. They arrived to find the vehicle engulfed by flames, extinguishing the blaze in 10 minutes. Police are investigating the cause. With another 400 coronavirus cases confirmed in Victoria today, the Far West Health District is seeing an increase in testing numbers in border towns. The region shares a border with the embattled state, with clinics extending their opening hours.
More and more tests as coronavirus vigilance climbs.
The numbers are increasing. At the moment, we've had about 2,900 tests overall across the region and about 78,000 screenings.
As 403 new COVID-19 cases were confirmed in Victoria today, border communities in the far west of New South Wales are taking no chances. More permanent testing clinics are now operating in Baronga, Wentworth and Dareton. The Health District's CEO says locals are doing the right thing.
The results, as I've said, are looking very positive. So as a minimum, we will retain those. We may increase them.
More than 200 tests were conducted in Broken Hill in the past week, taking the city's total to 1,600. Even in Menindee, the town test rate doubled from 45 total tests last Thursday to 96 today. Increased numbers of Victorian travellers in the region a contributing factor.
Some of the concern that the residents have expressed around the increased traffic, tourism traffic in the area, particularly around the caravan parks.
New safety measures are also in place for health centres across the region, the managing body reducing visitation hours.
We wanted to restrict as much as we can, with due sensitivity, the foot traffic in the hospitals and the health services.
Residents can visit from 10 to 12 and from 5 to 7 each day. Patrick Reinke, 7 Spencer Golf News.
A familiar face has been appointed the inaugural principal of Whyallers News Year 7 to 12 secondary school. Air High's current head Tricia Richmond will take on the role as preparations begin for its opening in 2 years' time.
A Whyalla resident of almost 20 years, now preparing for a life-changing career move.
I'm so excited to and feel honoured and privileged to have been given this amazing opportunity, It's a once-in-a-lifetime career opportunity.
Born and raised in Cow, Trisha studied in Adelaide before returning to rural South Australia.
I am a country girl who grew up on a farm, went to school on a school bus and was educated for the majority of my education at Cow Area School.
Her career beginning at Lee Creek Primary School as a drama teacher, eventually moving on to teach Indigenous and special education. Trisha then moved to Whyalla in 2001, eventually becoming Air High's principal.
I got to know the Whyalla community and know the vast different schools within Whyalla, working preschool right through to senior school.
The Education Minister praising her appointment, saying she's earned the job.
She's got experience as the principal at Edward John Eyre. She's previously been the principal at Whyalla High School. She's well known in the community.
She'll begin in August, working alongside the Education Department to prepare for the first intake of students when the $100 million facility opens in 2022. Locals can meet the new school team at a pop-up store in Westlands on Thursday, the 6th of August. Sophia Contigonis, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
Still to come tonight, critical power infrastructure upgrades begin on the Lower Eyre Peninsula. And nominations open in New South Wales for the Arches Art Prize. Welcome back. SA Power Networks has begun a multi-million-dollar upgrade to transmission lines across Lower Eyre Peninsula, increasing reliability during catastrophic weather events. Port Lincoln was cut off 3 times last year due to extreme conditions.
It's weather like this that's cutting Port Lincoln from the grid. Power has been switched off 3 separate times over the past year due to severe conditions, plunging 16,000 homes and businesses across Lower Eyre Peninsula into darkness.
It was an unprecedented situation where we had to disconnect power 3 times to Port Lincoln because of catastrophic fire conditions.
The community quickly became fed up and frustrated, forcing SA Power Network to review its transmission lines.
We did a review of the structure of our network around and into Port Lincoln, and the best solution was to upgrade the 33,000 volt line that feeds into our 3 substations in the Port Lincoln township.
The $2 million plan will transform the 33,000 volt power line to a 66,000 volt configuration, providing greater height, clearance and separation of the line. Experts say it'll provide a more stable power supply to the region during catastrophic weather events.
Basically, the lines will have greater separation between them, so if they're swinging in the wind, this will reduce the risk of any kind of sparks or other potential fire start incident.
Works will be undertaken over the next couple of months, with intermittent power outages across the Port Lincoln area expected. The new transmission line is set to be ready for the high-risk summer season.
We're absolutely aiming to have this in place before the start of the bushfire season. I've got no doubt that'll happen. Work's already underway.
Nathan Regter, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
A 33-year-old man has had his car impounded after testing positive to drug driving last month. He was detected with methamphetamine in his system on June 17. Following forensic analysis, police attended a Moonta Bay address and impounded a white Nissan Pulsar for 28 days. The man, who had been arrested in June for licence offences, has now also been reported for drug driving. He'll appear in court at a later date, where police will apply for forfeiture of the vehicle. Kadina police are appealing for information from the Moonta Bay community after a motorbike was stolen in recent days. A Suzuki RMX 250Z, similar to this one pictured, was stolen from a front yard between last Saturday and Tuesday. The motorbike is red and yellow and has no licence plates attached. Anyone with information is urged to call Crime Stoppers. A $5.7 million upgrade at Whyalla Airport has been cleared for takeoff after Council approved the project at its monthly meeting on Monday. The upgrade will see the main runway and taxiway receive a much-needed upgrade, making it safer for the Royal Flying Doctor and ambulance services to use. The federal government is contributing $2.4 million towards the revamp as part of a $41 million regional airports program. Council will invest the remaining $3.3 million. Entries are now open for an annual art competition, which spans across a large part of regional New South Wales. In its 10th year, the Outback Arches gives creatives across the region a platform to showcase their work.
It's a 10th anniversary celebration. Far West artists are being invited to attend.
It just provides an extra thing for artists of the area to, have a go at. So, we're very glad to be able to do that.
The Outback Arches is hosted every year by the Outback Arts Group, giving aspiring and established artists a chance to exhibit their works.
It has a level of prestige, but it's also very accessible to all kinds of entrants. It's still great professional development.
In previous years, the Archies has opened to just the northern communities like Burke and Cobar. But with West Darling Arts sponsoring the 2020 edition, the field has opened to include the Far West.
Anyone who lives in our area, so anyone who lives in Broken Hill, Wentworth Shire, Central Darling Shire or the Western Unincorporated area, anyone from these areas can enter the prize now.
A new category has been introduced this year, with artists under the age of 15 receiving a separate grouping. Other prizes include the Archie Main Prize, People's Choice and Aboriginal Art Award.
There's also subcategories. So there's also subcategories for two-dimensional sculpture, pottery or ceramics, I should say.
Entries close in late August, with a selection touring across the Outback region next year.
We do really want to try and get it out to all our partners as well. So that would include Gilgandra, Coonabarabran, and if we could get it to Broken Hill, we'd be very keen for that.
Patrick Reinke, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
Stay with us, we'll check what fish are biting in the Spencer Gulf this weekend. And Aqua Aerobics return to the Whyalla Leisure Centre. Aqua aerobic classes and swimming lessons are back in full swing at Whyalla's Rec Centre. With the pool recently upgraded, locals are enjoying getting back into fitness after being kept out of the water for a number of months.
With the music pumping, these locals are making a splash. Aqua aerobic classes now back up and running at Whyalla's Rec Centre.
The Aqua Aerobics program has restarted after our COVID closure and the maintenance on the pool, and our swimming lessons program has resumed this week as well.
Capacity set at 35 patrons due to the state government's COVID-19 regulations. The centre encouraging locals interested in dipping their toes in the water to pre-book.
Anybody's free to come along to Aqua, whether they're members or casual visitors, so they just need to book through the centre, so they can either do that through our YMCA app that we've got, or they can call the centre and make a booking over the phone.
Ray Watson has been teaching the classes for several years now. She's encouraging locals to join in the fun and reap a multitude of benefits.
The ladies who come and the gentlemen are in retiring age. They no longer work, so therefore it's good to have exercise, but more importantly, it's good to have the social contact.
Her passion for aqua aerobics started after she attended classes as part of her recovery from a back injury. Ray finding her true calling during the sessions.
I'm trying to convert as many people as possible to realise the benefits of water.
The rest of the centre's facilities are also now open, with hand sanitising stations located throughout the building.
The only things that have really changed is the booking system, which is required for group fitness, which includes Aqua.
Sophia Contagonis, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
Whyalla's new landfill site, operated by Veolia, has opened to the public this week as the city transitions to a new model of waste management and disposal. The new $7 million transfer station is being designed to improve landfill segregation by recovering materials more efficiently. Located in Whyalla's industrial estate near the steelworks, it's a few minutes' drive from the city centre. The Mount Laura Waste Facility, which has served the community for more than 2 decades, will close its gates for the last time on the 7th of August. Time now for a look at what fish are biting in the Spencer Gulf this weekend. Here's our local fishing experts with their tips.
G'day and welcome to this week's Fishing Tips from Port Augusta, Jewel of the North. Well, the whales are up at the moment. They were spotted about the 15k mark heading north, so just be aware of that with the restrictions around them. Don't go too close to small boats, and whales don't work well anyway. King George whiting can be found around further south as Yatala Harbour through to Chinaman's Creek and the Flinders Channel. Lots of squid basically everywhere at the moment. That last 20 minutes of last light seems to be the best, just drifting on the front of the shacks. Garfish on these really calm nights are good to go out and get a few dabbing as well. A lot of tommy roughs off the jetty at night. As always this time of year, try for a few crabs if you want, but take a little bit longer to get them. That's all we have from the Jewel of the North.
Welcome another week around the Gulf Fishing Tips from Port Pirie. I cannot explain how many squid are out there at the moment. Every time I talk to a boatie, they're catching huge numbers of squid right throughout from Eastern Shoal, Third Creek patches in front of the island. You don't have to go far and you'll catch yourself a good feed of squid. You'll have to start looking at different recipes of what you can use them for. King George whiting been on the bite as well, and we're looking right throughout the area from over at Barrows Beach up to Eastern Shoal, top end of Ward Spit, Third Creek patches again, and a little bit along the blue line towards Talawi, so you find yourself a good feed there. That's all we got. We'll see you next week.
G'day and welcome to Fishing Tips in Port Lincoln. Well, the main catches over the past week around Lincoln have been squid, and although they haven't been on the large side, the squid have been around in reasonable numbers. So up along the North Shore, out around Boston Island, and also from the town jetty have been producing a few squid. Further down the passage in the deeper water, there have been some nanagai and also some queen snapper recorded down that way. Over at Coffin Bay, there's been some salmon trout and tommies in the bay system, and the whiting have been fishing really well out around the farm beach grounds, but it will be interesting to see how they go now that bloodworms have run. Well, that's all for this week. We'll see you again with more tips next week.
Stay with us after the break. We'll check the day's finance news, and we'll have the weather details with Britt. Hello again. Time for a quick check of the day's finance news. Stocks were mostly green today. West Farmers and Elders up by around 1%. Santos surged nearly 3.5%. Clean Seas rose nearly 3%. And Adelaide Brighton was also strong. CSL, however, was down. And the ASX 200 and All Ordinaries had slight rises today, up 0.3%. Time for a look at the weather now, and it was a fine and mostly sunny day today, with those conditions expected to extend into the weekend. With all the latest details, here's Britt with the forecast.
Thank you, John, and good evening. We've had another cold morning with a low of -1 recorded at Port Pirie, -2.4 at Woodna and -3 at Snowtown. Woodna also saw the region's high, recording a top temp of 18 degrees today. It reached 17 at Port Augusta, 16 at Woodna, Port Lincoln, Port Pirie, Kadina and Cleve also 16. Adelaide reached 15 degrees today, with Broken Hill and Coffin Bay both recording highs of 14, Clare 13. Taking a look at today's satellite images now, with cloud over the south of SA in cool southerly winds. Clear skies elsewhere under a broad high. To tomorrow now, northeasterly winds about the Gulf waters, reaching up to 15 knots through the day, increasing to the south in the evening with seas around 1 metre and south to southwesterly swells. A shower or two forecast for Port Lincoln tomorrow, looking at a high of 16 degrees. Cleve partly cloudy and 18. A possible shower at Woodna, otherwise partly cloudy with a top of 19 degrees. Fine and partly cloudy at Whyalla tomorrow, also looking to reach 19 degrees. Another cold and frosty morning coming up for Port Augusta with a low of just 1 degree, warming up to a partly cloudy 21 in the afternoon. Kadina, partly cloudy and 17 tomorrow. Light morning frost at Port Pirie, then fine and 19. Clare, partly cloudy with a high of 16 degrees. Broken Hill, mostly sunny with a top of 20 degrees tomorrow. Taking a quick look ahead to the weekend now, with fine and partly cloudy conditions forecast across the region on Saturday. Port Augusta and Broken Hill with tops of 18, Woodna and Whyalla 17, Port Lincoln, Port Pirie, Kadina and Adelaide all expected to reach 16 degrees. Sunday, much the same, fine and partly cloudy. Port Augusta with a high of 19 degrees. Whyalla and Broken Hill both 18. Woodna 17. Port Lincoln and Port Pirie both 16 degrees. Kadina and Adelaide 15. And finally now, a look ahead to Monday, with fine and partly cloudy conditions expected to kick off the new week. A high of 17 degrees at Broken Hill, Port Augusta and Woodna. Whyalla, Port Lincoln, Port Pirie and Kadina all 16, with a top of 15 for the capital. And John, that's all from me for now. I'll catch you a little later with a weather update.
Thanks for that, Britt. And that's the local news this Thursday evening. Thanks for joining us. I'll have updates later, but until then, enjoy your evening. On behalf of the entire team, it's good night.